Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. We're back for the first episode of 2024 ahead of the UFC Fight Night card on January 13th. First up, we're going to be joined by Jim Miller to preview his fight against Gabriel Benitez. A really interesting fight. Jim won to fight late last year, but he ends up fighting on the first card of this year. He thinks he's no worried. He can turn around quick enough to get on 300 and kind of talk about that, the 300 and kind of the rest of his career, how it's really coming up. I remember talking to Jim before, I think maybe that Guida fight or the Holtzman fight about 300, and everyone kind of thought it was a pipe dream, and here we are just a couple months away from it. But really good chat with Jim as always about his fight. We're then going to be joined by Mario Bautista to preview his fight against Ricky Simon. This is a big one for Mario. Coming off that nice win over Damon Blackshear at UFC 292 at a 2-0 year. He was also supposed to fight Cody. He knew that was a big fight. Now he gets a rank on Ricky Simon, who's coming off that main event loss to Song Yadong. But Mario knows Ricky's a top 10 guy in the world for a reason, and he thinks a win over Ricky, especially if he can finish him, really sends him up the division. And then we close things out talking to Marcus McGhee to preview his fight against Gaston Bolanos. Marcus, one of the rookie of the years in 2023, came into the UFC, goes 2-0, 2 performance the night bonuses, finishing Jordan Newson and JP Buys. That JP Buys fight, he was supposed to fight Gaston. He said he didn't have much training for Gaston because it was like he's only scheduled fighting for about a week, 2 weeks. So, but he liked the style matchup. He likes the whole match with it, and he thinks it's going to be a fan-friendly fight when he gets a big win in. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're jumping UFC lightweight Jim Miller, who's back in action on the first card of 2024. Jim, how's it going, man?
It's going well.
I'm surprised you're fighting now just with UFC 300 in April. Was there ever a thought of just like, let's just wait and not test anything, or did you want to get one more fight in between?
I was asking to fight in like November. I was actually asking to fight on the MSG card and said I'd even fight in December. And things just didn't work out. So I ended up I broke my thumb I'm throwing the second punch of that last fight. So I had a little bit of time off and out from that, but I easily could have fought in November or this month, but things just didn't work out for me. There's a ton of fighters on contract, so it's not as easy these days. But I don't like if I didn't fight from June 3rd all the way until April 13th, that's way too long of a layoff for me. I'm not a fan of that. So I would like to be fighting 3 times a year consistently. It's just better for me. There are obviously those injuries that I have to deal with and things that I got to do, but just the consistency of being in camp and having somebody to prepare for is good for me.
After you got the offer, like, was the UFC hesitant to give you this? I know Dana's already said like you're on that 300 card. Like, were they hesitant to even offer you this then?
I don't know if it was that they were hesitant, because the fact of the matter is it really doesn't matter, right? Yeah. I put it out there years ago that I wanted to be on UFC 300 when I was still like dealing with Lyme or just coming out of my fight with Lyme disease. So in the last 2 years, I feel like I've, 2.5 years or so, I feel like I've kind of figured things out a little bit. Obviously, competing as an aging athlete in a young athlete sport, it's not easy. Mm-hmm. But it's a learning process. So, I know that my road it has not been similar to anyone on the planets when it comes to this stuff. So, I put it out there to be fighting on 300 so that I could call it quits. But right now, I don't feel like that's going to be my last one. So it would be awesome to fight 100, 200, 300. I'm happy to be on that card. I'm happy to be I'm going to fight, and then I have literally 3 months to the day that I'm going to be fighting again. That is awesome. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about coming out of a fight and basically, being back in training a week or two later. But yeah, like it's not the event that I thought it was going to be a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
At least today, right? Like a lot can change in the next couple of months. But if everything keeps going the way that it's been going, it's not going to be the last one. So it'd be cool to be on it. But if not, I'd be fighting on 301.
Yeah, because I remember I think maybe the Guida fight or the Holton fight, we've been doing these for a while, that you always kind of said 300, and that would kind of be the retirement fight, and then it kind of was just get me on 300 and we'll kind of see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I guess it isn't even really 3 months. It really isn't even that close, because everyone, when the fight got booked, said oh, there's no way you can make 300 or what are they doing? But it's guys turn around a month later. 3 months is still a good amount of time in between fights.
Yeah. And on the few occasions that I have had those quicker turnarounds, it's worked out for me. So, it's obviously a different set of circumstances, but yeah, like I've said, I like to fight. My knees and my feet and my shoulders and my back and my neck, they might not like it all the time. They don't like the training camps and the silly stuff that happens, but I enjoy fighting. So I'm excited to fight in January, and after January, I'm excited. I'm going to be excited to have that other fight on the horizon.
Gabriel Benitez, was this just who they offered you? How familiar were you with him?
Well, we were supposed to fight in February.
Yeah.
So, so we were supposed to fight February, what was that, 19th or 18th or whatever the heck it was. And he ended up getting hurt a couple weeks out. So, I've already trained for him for a few weeks, and we were already working on some stuff for him. So, just the way that it goes for me now, and kind of going back to that, what training is as an older guy, right? It's it's kind of all about compromise, and one of the things that I've told my coaches and my teammates is I've got a hierarchy of things that I need to happen, and priority number one is to be healthy. That's the really difficult part. That's the one anybody on the planet. And then you add in okay, be sharp, be doing the things that I'm good at, and having been training those and landing those in training, that makes me even more dangerous. And then add in that little bit of who I'm preparing for and what skill sets they bring to the table. That's the icing on the cake. I had 3 fights in a row that my opponent changed in the last, couple weeks of a fight, right? So I'm pretty sure that's probably a record that I have as well. Maybe it has to do with so many opportunities, but it also has to be with the because of the fact that I don't care. I don't care who steps in across from me, because that's the way that I train, is to be the most dangerous version of myself against whomever is standing across from me. So I'm probably more willing to take those new opponents on a week or 2 or 2 days than most of my peers.
How weird was that last fight week for you? You were supposed to fight Klein, then it got moved to Jared Gordon, and then Jared Gordon at media day says he had the concussion from the Bobby Green fight, and then Dana pulls him, and then you don't really know who you're gonna get. How kind of weird was that whole fight? Because on media day, on Wednesday, you assume that's the opponent's locked in, and then still got pulled.
Yeah, it was there was a couple hours where it was son of a bitch. You come all the way out here, you start going through the process, and it's not going to happen. And fortunately, Sean was able to find somebody and just stepped in and yeah, it worked out for me.
With Benitez, like, how much do you look at what you did last year, and like, or is it like a pretty similar game plan in training camp than what you had last year to prepare for him?
Yeah, I mean, for what I'm preparing for, again, like I'm trying to be the best that I can be, and his, it's been basically a year, but like film on him is not much different. So
Mhm.
I don't know if he's fought. So to be perfectly honest, that's not for me. That's not for me to figure out. That's for my coaches. So they pick it apart. They do all that stuff. But yeah, it's the only thing that's different is I feel a lot better. I had a really really rough camp last year. So yeah, it was like maybe a little bit over a year ago. I ended up putting a pretty significant tear in my patellar tendon, uh, like about 8 weeks out from when we were supposed to fight. But that was a pain in the ass to deal with through camp, and it wasn't even doing anything fun. It was picking up the corner of a wrapper that one of my kids had dropped on the floor at night, and I bent over and bang, and it went, and I spent the next 8 weeks wearing knee sleeves from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, and uh, walked around like an old man. So I ended up fighting like an old man. So I I feel a lot better, and barring any stupid things like that, I feel like I'll have a better preparation for this time around.
How do you kind of see this one playing out then?
Um, you know, he's he's a good tough striker. He throws a lot of kicks. I feel like I'll have a good advantage on the ground. But it's a matter of getting it there, and we'll see how it goes. So I mean, as long as it's on its feet, it's going to be a tough, you know, uh, tough battle. Um, because he's not the type to shy away from mixing it up. So we're gonna get in there and put on a show. And if I follow through with my opportunities to take to the mat, I think that I will I'll overwhelm him on the ground and secure a finish.
Uh, Obviously, UFC 300 is the goal. Then, like, does the opponent really not matter for you? Because I've seen a lot of people say, like, oh, maybe Paul
Mm-hmm.
Felder if he comes back, or like a legend like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
would you prefer like a named guy rather than like the past guy you've been fighting?
Yeah, I mean, like I honestly, since I've been trying to fight before then, I'm not focused on it yet, so that's kind of the thing is, I know that there are a few people that have asked to fight me on
Mhm.
300. Even before um, even before Dana said that, like I was going to be on it. So, yeah, to me, it's like there's a lot of tough guys out there that I haven't fought yet. Like I said, I'm 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 okay with going up to 70s as well. So if there are any of those guys at 70s, yeah, like I'm here to fight. I'm here to put on a show, and yeah. So it really doesn't matter either way. I'm sure that uh, it will be a good matchup. I know that from the early talks that we've heard about the way they're building this card. I have an inclination of who they're going to offer, but
Mhm.
I don't want to really put it out there,
Yeah.
just to start swaying anyone in the public or behind the scenes yet. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's not my job to make the fights. It's my job to go in there and beat people up.
A bit annoyed that they're going to New Jersey like 2 weeks before 300 too, so you can't double dip onto those.
Like that's kind of one of those things is that like I I want to fight on 300, yeah, but I also want to fight close to home before I'm done. Whether that be, if it has to be New York, it'll be New York. I'm not a huge fan of that commission. Uh, but yeah, like it'd be cool to fight in Newark again. So the timing of it, whatever, we'll just kick the can down the road a little bit more, and I'll get my opportunity to fight, in front of my home state fans and my team and my family, down the line.
Just final thing, like what is the goal then for you this year?
So come out of these fights healthy and do what I do best, which is go out and push the pace. And I there a few years ago there was a few years ago we're talking about like a decade ago. There was the big push. All the fighters were like, I finish fights, I go for the finish, I do this, I do that. I haven't beaten somebody by a decision since 2016. So I know what I'm supposed to do when I go in there, and I try to do it. And yeah, so this year, fight January, come out healthy with a win, go into 300, 5-1 in my last 6. Hopefully, if I do my job and I do what I'm good at with 5 finishes, and then put on a heck of a show at 300, in front of another big crowd, and and hopefully be good to fight again towards the end of the year, and have a 3-fight year, which is always good. And yeah, I'm just kind of playing it by ear too with the way things are going. It's I will definitely I will definitely let everybody know when my last fight is coming up, because I am excited for that. Like I'm super excited to prepare for that last one. But yeah, we'll see when it is, and I'm just gonna keep doing what I got to do.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're jumping UFC bantamweight Mario Bautista, who's got a big fight on the first card of 2024. Mario, how's it going, man?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
Obviously a big fight here, like fighting the 13th ranked guy in Ricky Simone. Like, how excited were you when you got the call that you'd be fighting a ranked guy finally?
That's exactly it. I thought, like, finally, man, I finally got a top 15. You know, um, I'm on this win streak right now, so I'm glad I got the opportunity. And it just, with the opportunity itself, like I feel like in this camp, it's kind of brought like the best out of me. So those are the kind of challenges I'm looking for, kind of to continue to grow in this sport.
Were you surprised you didn't get rebooked with Cody after that fight with Damon? Like, just because I thought that fight made a lot of sense, and then I thought after you just fought Damon, I thought maybe they just looked to rebook that one.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't sure because I didn't know the extent of, what was going on with Cody after he pulled out of our fight. So I didn't know if he was going to make a quick comeback or what the deal was. And honestly, I was just, if the fight happens, it happens. But I wasn't, going to stay like fixated on Cody. I was going to continue to move forward. And, if it happens in the future, it'll happen. But for me, I feel like Cody's kind of wanting to go the money fights, like a Dominic Cruz or Davison Figueiredo. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we cross paths again.
With Ricky, like, what have you made of his last couple of fights? Like before that Song fight and that main event, like he was on a really nice run, some like pretty big wins over like Jack Shore, a Sunsao, like Ray Borg. He beat. Like, what you kind of make of his run?
No, I think Ricky's solid. There's a reason why he's been in the top 15 for a while now. He hasn't really made those those big fights that he's gonna have, like against Uriah Faber and the Song, to continue to move forward. But he's still pretty solid and he's hanging out there, and I think that's something that's pretty hard to do. So that's a testament to his toughness.
With like that last one, how much do you take away from that fight just because it was 5 rounds and like this one being 3 rounds? Like obviously Ricky might fight differently. Like how much do you look at that last fight?
There's things to take away from it. Song, how he game planned and everything. but yeah, I don't really fight like Song, so I don't know. I'm just gonna stick to my game plan. It's obvious what Ricky wants to do. He wants to grab a hold of you.
Mhm.
He's tough. Um, it's gonna take a lot of damage for him to kind of quit or to put him out. So it's gonna be a fun fight. I'm excited for the challenge.
Are you a bit disappointed just at the Apex? Like, I feel like this fight's a pretty big one. Like, it should be in front of fans.
Uh, yes and no. I've had really good luck at the Apex lately, so and I'm comfortable there. I know how it runs. I know the process of like coming to the arena. What I got to do, how fast I'm going to get put up there. So I feel comfortable there. So I can already visualize it in my head much easier, and hopefully that'll work to my advantage.
With Ricky, like, he obviously is a very good wrestler, but how do you think you kind of match up against him?
I think I definitely can match him in the wrestling. That's just his strong suit. So I'm gonna try to pick it up on the feet because I think that's where I excel better than him. A little bit more speed, a little bit more combinations, stance switches. Um, so that's where I'm going to look to make a difference in this fight.
You have Marcus on the card as well, but like, is it a bit disappointing not to be on that O'Malley card with his first title defense, or like, was this kind of the right time frame for you?
Oh no, this was the right time frame for me. I didn't want to wait any longer. I wanted to fight in December, but then they pushed it back to January. So I was pretty happy with it. And I really don't like sitting around too long. You never know what could happen. So
Does sharing a card with Marcus like just make fight week a bit more enjoyable? Just having someone you're familiar with, like cut weight and everything, just kind of go everything with you.
100%. Yeah, Marcus is an awesome teammate. He brings good energy around, and then we also get to bring more coaches. More of the team with us for fight week. So it's going to be a fun week for us.
How do you kind of see this one playing out against you and Ricky?
I'm going to be looking for that finish, man. I think Ricky's very tough. He's going to be there all 3 rounds, wrestling hard all 3 rounds. So I think to really make a statement, I'm going to have to put him out, and I think I could definitely do that with this one.
Well, what do you think a win over Ricky does for you? Like, you look at his 3 losses in the UFC, it's like some of the best of the best, like Faber, Rob Font, Song Yadong. So like only like the top echelon of guys been able to beat him. It's like, what do you think a win here does for you?
It definitely moves me forward, especially if I win, and if I finish Ricky, it's definitely a top 10 next. I'm not going to be waiting in top 15. I'm not going to be his replacement.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that stays there in top 15. I'm going to continue to move forward and get to where I'm going.
What do you kind of thoughts of bantamweight division? A lot of big fights are upcoming, like Cejudo, Marab, like obviously O'Malley's title defense. We had Figueiredo make his debut a while, but like not too long ago. So like, what do you kind of made the bantamweight division as of late, and like kind of in the next couple months?
Yeah, it's still one of the best divisions, I think. And like with Figueiredo being in there, I think it only adds to it. Sanhagen's going to fight Umar. I think we have a lot of great fights. A lot of older guys kind of coming out of the rankings, and younger guys coming in. So I'm excited for how it's going to turn out.
Are you surprised they ended up going with Vera with O'Malley? Like, I know we haven't talked since then. Like, I always thought that was the fight. I know a lot of people thought Marab deserved it more. I just always thought that Vera rematch was the kind of the fight to make for his first title defense.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. I think Sean likes that fight. And it makes sense. It's a good money fight. There's a good backstory for sure. So that promo for that fight is going to be pretty good. So I wasn't surprised. I think it was the right fight to make.
Just final thing, like, what is the goal then for you this year? Like, fighting on the first card of the year can set you up to have a pretty big, like a pretty active year, and then you get past Ricky, like it sets you have a big year as well.
Yeah, we'll see. If I could squeeze in 3 fights, I think now that we're getting into the top 15, if we could slow it down to 3 fights, because last year my goal was like 4, and the year before that was 4, just to kind of get in there quick. So we'll see. We'll take it fight by fight, and I think 3 good ones would be pretty good for me.
Do you think though, like once you start kind of get high enough in the rankings, like it's gonna be harder for you to get fights, and like it's gonna be a long wait, just because you see a lot of those top guys are kind of waiting for that right fight, or like hoping maybe they get picked for that title shot.
Exactly. It's the right fights, and you have a less selection of guys. When you're outside the top 15, you could fight pretty much as much as you want, until you get into the top 15. But how I picture it is top 15, top 10, and top 5, like each fight there. So, but we'll see. We'll see if guys want to take fights or what happens. People get hurt, so that's why I got it down to 3. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Mardo, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this.
Awesome, Cole. Thank you.
All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Marcus McGhee, who's back in action on the first card of the year here. Marcus, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. It's going great. Just another beautiful day and another beautiful day above ground.
Yeah, obviously we talked after your last 2 fights in the UFC, like a pretty good year for you, going 2-0 in the UFC, like 3-0 overall, getting signed. Like, just kind of reflecting back on that year, like what are your kind of thoughts on how 2023 played out for you?
Just blessings, blessings with the wins as well, but just blessings with being able to create more of a brotherhood, create more of a family structure, get stronger in my faith and my belief in God, So honestly, the whole year was great for me, and I'm excited for this next year too. I'm excited for the plans that God has for me.
And then 2 fights, 2 bonuses as well. Like, does that put any pressure on you going into these fights where now people are starting to realize how much of a finisher and exciting guy you are?
No, it really doesn't put pressure on me. I feel like maybe it should, but I'm just not that type of guy. I mean, I say it all the time. I'm not in it for outcomes. I want the best of things, but everything that I gain on the way there, it matters so much more to me than the outcome. So it's been great. It's been great to be able to support my family, and I would love to do it again. But yeah, no extra pressure. Just go out there, do what we do. Remember that we're blessed and thankful and grateful for the position that we've been put in, and let our cards fall where they may.
Were you hoping to get one more in last year? Like, were you always kind of looking at that beginning of 2024?
No, I was definitely looking to get one more to finish the year off. I kind of wanted to enjoy the holidays with the family a little bit, but again, I wasn't mad about the January fight either. So we'll start the year off instead, and then get some much needed family time after. But yeah, I was looking for November, December, but January played out.
And then in Gaston Bolanos, you were supposed to fight him your last fight. I was trying to remember. He pulled out like, I think like 4 or 5 weeks out. Like how long did you spend training for him on that original camp?
It wasn't that long because we got the notice that it was going to be him about 9 weeks out, and then about 6 weeks out he pulled out of the fight, and then I never really figured out what it was about, what was going on. I just I trust that he needed to take not take the fight. So when they rescheduled it, we were open hands to it. So it was all good with us.
I know some people don't like, you just kind of mentioned how you were open to it, but I know some guys don't like rebooking fights, especially if just a guy pulls out. Like, why were you kind of not hesitant at all then?
A fight's a fight at the end of the day, and Gaston is a very formidable opponent, So for me, I try not to look at the downs of things. Things could go great, right? Things could go. Russ said it the best, things could turn out better than you ever imagined. So why be caught up in the negatives, I just seen that it was a great fight, great matchup, great name, and regardless of the pullout or not, I'm confident in myself and confident in the work that I've been putting in. So we're here to test ourselves, and yeah, don't get me wrong, there's that part that's like, okay, yeah, he already pulled out, I had already fought one more, maybe I needed to fight a different person than him fight somebody, then let's set that up. But at the same time, why not get it out of the way right now?
And with Gaston, like, how familiar were you with him? Like, because he wasn't a pretty exciting guy in Bellator. I know he wasn't like the most well-known guy, but like he did have a lot of exciting fights, and his debut was pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've known about Gaston for a while. He was actually going to fight one of my teammates, short notice in Bellator a while ago, Moses Diaz. Um, and I had known about him before then. This is years ago. So I had known about him for a while, and I've definitely known his skill set and seen him do a lot of cool things. So when they passed out the name in general, I was I was open to it.
Obviously, a lot of good bantamweights you work with, like obviously Sean, Mardo, who's on the card. Like, who were kind of the main guys you were working with for this one?
So the main guys he works with is Abdul Kamaro, another guy named Bobby. He just came in. And then Kyler Phillips is one of my other guys that I mostly worked with, but also worked with Mario as well. Also worked with Talon Glasser. Also, Randy Stakey's my striking coach. And then an assortment of just bantamweights all over the map. Richie Palencia, so many guys that we've been able to work with.
I talked to Mario last week, the week before, and he was kind of saying how it's going to be exciting to have someone familiar on fight week to kind of go through everything. Like, is that kind of the same with you? Like, how more enjoyable will fight week be? Just like cutting weight, knowing you'll have someone there doing it with you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. That's one of the things I wanted to do was fight on the card with one of my teammates, and make it full circle. I have been in his corner for one of his fights too, so it's gonna be cool to be riding with him on this one as well.
With this one, how do you think you match up against Gaston?
I think I match up against him really well. I think my style matches up against his style really well. I think we're both dangerous strikers. I think we're both well-rounded. And I think we're both exciting, So for me, I definitely see, it being an exciting fight. I definitely plan to go on and get him out of there whichever way I can. And that's kind of how I'm going into it.
Just at the Apex as well, like, was that a bit disappointing that you're still without that crowd fight yet?
Everybody's asking me that, but no, it doesn't. Again, a fight's a fight for me. If it's in a dark alley, we're getting paid for it. It's all good, So it'll be exciting when it is for a crowd too. I will embrace that and be there for that moment. But no hurt feelings at it being about the Apex again. I'm just blessed and thankful to have a fight set up against a tough opponent where I can test my skill set, do what I love to do, and also be able to support my family.
And Gaston was a guy in Bellator that was fighting at 45, and just that UFC fight, he dropped down to 35. Do you worry about that size? Like, do you think he'll be much bigger than you in there?
No, I think we'll both probably be right around the same size. I've been at 35 longer than him, but I absolutely could be at 45. Honestly, I think I'd be a well-sized 45 or two. We have a lot of 45ers in our gym, and I match up with them very well as well. 45 is definitely not something that I plan on doing. I mean, the 35, the bantamweight's got me for a while, but I definitely am one of those guys that I step back in that cage well rested and fed.
How do you kind of see this one playing out?
I always plan for a 3-round war. That's what I'm planning for. I'm planning for a fight, a battle of wits. I'm planning for a striking match. But it is MMA, so we're gonna see wherever it goes and take whatever opportunities present themselves. But I'm planning on going out there and getting the finish. That's always the plan. I'm gonna use every bit of my energy, every bit of my skill sets to go out there and accomplish that goal.
You get past Gaston, like, what do you think that does in the division? Like 3-0, say you get a finish, 3 finishes. Like, I know bantamweight division is really deep, but where do you think that kind of puts you in this division?
I think it just keeps on. It just keeps adding to my resume. I haven't thought too far into it. I know Gaston's a big name and all that stuff, but again, I'm not rushing anything. I'm not overthinking anything. We'll look at the map when it's all said and done. Let's see if we go out there, we get him out of there, and we get another finish, 3 finishes. That'd be great. But we have a lot of work to do, and I'll just keep chipping away at the block.
What is kind of the goal then for you this year? Like, fighting beginning of January can kind of set you up to have a pretty big and active year.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Have a big and active year. Again, not rush anything, but 3 or 4 fights, that'd be great. If I can hit me a Kevin Holland year and hit a 5-fighter, that'd be great as well. I really think it's God's plan. God's timing, and I've learned to trust His timing, trust His will, and whatever He has for me, I will put on that armor and step onto the front lines.
What's kind of the vibe like in the gym right now? Like, you obviously have you and Mario coming up in 10 days now, and then you have Sean fighting, like, defending his title for the first time. Like, a lot of you guys have some big fights upcoming and like in a pretty close span.
Yeah, no, that it's so crazy because that's what I mean by like what's important, right? Like the vibes of the gym are just so great, and just the growth that we've been able to achieve, and then the relationships that we've been able to build, and like we keep saying it, Ubuntu is our new is something that we've adopted. I am because we are, and I really believe that it's something that we're embracing and embodying. So again, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna look to get these wins. But the most important thing is the fact that we've been able to develop this relationship that goes so much deeper than wins and losses.
I know that card is in March. Like, ideal world, like, would you like to make a quick turn and hop on that card with Sean and Kyler?
You know, I won't count my chickens too I won't count my chickens too fast, you know. Like again, if everything plays out perfectly and we can go out there and we can do what we want to do and get Gaston out of there and we're healthy and able, absolutely, you know. But again, we'll have to see how everything goes with Gaston. Take care of business, take care of the task at hand, because you know, I definitely have respect and think and want to give all my attention to that task. But again, God's timing, you know, if that's what he plans for me, I will be there on the front lines with his armor on and ready to go.
Just final thing, like, what is it kind of like to see Sean, like, his kind of rise? Like, I asked Kyler about this too, where you guys were all kind of coming up together. He obviously becomes a champ, and like, he's not one of those guys that have forgotten about you guys. Like, at the press conference, he was shouting out all you guys, like, especially Mario that was on the cards. Like, what's kind of like where he's still this big star and he's still kind of like giving you guys all coming up like all the props?
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And honestly, we appreciate it too, you know. And honestly, I think again that all that goes to show like the relationships that we've been able to build that supersede just fighting, you know. We've been there for him, we bled for him, we've went to war with him so that he can go to battle more ready. And you know, again, I've loved to watch his growth. I've loved to watch him be able to create an empire, create a legacy for his family, and that's gonna, you know, come to shine for generations. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the love that he's still giving.
Well, Marcus, I appreciate the time again. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother.